This is the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver. Aaron is a huge fan of country music star Eric Church and is a member of his fan base, the Church Choir. Aaron has attended and continues to attend as many shows as possible, and along the way, he meets some incredible people. Each week, he'll introduce you to a fellow choir member, and together, they will share their awesome stories and life adventures. It's time to meet one of them right now. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host and choir director for the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast, Aaron Shriver.
I really hope that worked tonight. I don't know. I had this really cool intro planned last week and it just never worked. What is up, everybody? I hope you guys hear me and everything's working good tonight. Like I said, we had a little bit of audio last week that I was kind of bouncing around, but we have a good one planned tonight. So I see William, Mr. Bill over there in North Carolina commenting already. So here we go. Hey, nice picture there. So thank you guys again for coming back for a second week. There's Lori. Everybody's coming in. Hey, Hanley said it worked. So cool. So tonight we are going to have a lot of fun. I got a lot of cool stories that I kind of wrote down. I'm going to share with everybody tonight too, and some pictures. I'm going to dig around. It was kind of funny. I don't know if Caroline knew her camera was on. She was fixing her background earlier. So I was loving that, making sure you guys had some really cool stuff to look at behind her head too. So, well, yeah, once again, thank you for coming back for episode 2. We are really excited to keep this going. I have all of 2019 booked. I'm really excited about that. I got some really cool invites for 2020 already out. I'm going to book 50 episodes, which is pretty much a year. I'm going to book it and just roll with it. If all 50 work out, I'll book another 50. We'll see what happens. But my goal is to do at least 50 of these and have fun and get out there and talk with the choir. So if you want to be a part of this episode or these shows, go ahead and send me a message. We'll get you on. If you want to be a part of this episode, comment. I can put your comments, your questions, anything up on here. What's up, Amy Joe from Wisconsin? I'm going to see you in a couple of days. It is Green Bay week, guys. So the summer drought is over. Church is back in session, and we are going to go live with Miss Sweet Caroline. Here we go. There she is. Oh, why are we all? We'll throw it like that. Yeah. You know what? Get that out of here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah, I can hear you. So what is up? Thank you for coming out tonight and hanging out with me for an hour. I'm sure we got some really cool stuff to share for everybody. We've been chit-chatting for about half an hour back and forth.
I've just been saying how nervous I am.
I know. You don't have to be. Carla, look at you. She did great.
Okay, I can do it.
We're going to get you more views than her. She has like 3,000. We're going to get you over 3,000.
Oh, no pressure.
All right, Lee's back. There you go. You want some pressure. She didn't think she's going to make it in time. She's back.
Yay, Lee.
So let's go. Let me find my first picture. I want to pop up here real quick. And we're going to go to back where it all started.
Ah, the tree choir in Nashville. I see like half of them.
Let's see if I can make this. This thing is crazy what I could do. I love it. Let's take me off for a minute. All right, there we go. We'll share that so everybody can see a little bit bigger. So this is where I first met Sweet Caroline. If you guys were following the page earlier, I showed a little piece of paper that I still have framed behind me. It's pretty cool that she was walking around just thanking people for being part of the choir and writing little notes to everybody. And that was the first time I think she walked up to me and said, "Let me see it." I'm like, crazy Canadian lady, tell me, let me see it. Let's see what's going on. But it was fun.
I met your tattoo.
Yeah, of course, she was talking about the tattoo, but it was a great time. We had a good time that day. It was, if you guys don't know, let me show you a few more other pictures. The tree choir started back, was it 2008? Oh, here.
2007. That was in June
2007. Here's my first photo, Sweet Caroline. If you guys can see her back. That's Stormy Warren interviewing Eric. And she's just chilling in the background. I don't know what you're looking up into. Now, let's throw that one up there.
Okay, there's a story behind this one.
Yeah, that's what we got to talk about.
My girlfriend, the 2 girls that I was with, each group in the tree choir had 3 people. And the other 2 girls I was with, I knew them. They lived in Nashville area. She was taking a picture of me. Like, I took pictures of them with my camera. And she said, well, give me your camera and I'll take your picture with Eric. So she did, but she didn't know how to zoom in or zoom out my camera. And when I got the picture, I was so disappointed. I'm like, I look like you can't quite see there, but you can see his eyes in the full picture, and he's looking down at me and I'm looking at him. And I said, I look like I'm a smitten kitten or something. And then fast forward a few months, and Eric was looking at the church choir directory and said to me, that's my favorite picture of you and I. And I said, I look terrible. I look like I'm, a smitten kitten. And he said, it's my favorite picture. So from then on, of course, I like that picture.
Patty just said you guys have never met. I've never known that you and Patty have never met before.
We haven't. We've been friends. Like, we bonded right at the very beginning, and we have yet to meet.
So crazy.
I know. Someday I'm going to get to hear that Boston accent.
I've only met her a couple of times. But Patty's always fun. We gotta have her on sometime. Yeah, that's one of my favorite pictures. What did you say, Eric? Said that was his favorite picture too?
Yeah, he did. We were at the machine shop, and he was looking at the choir directory and was looking at everyone's pictures and comments. And he said, I was asking him to sign my copy, and he said, that's my favorite picture. He said him and Catherine had been looking through the book. So I changed my opinion. I liked it after that.
Yeah, it was a fun day. So Eric started at 2007. He only did half a dozen of these, I think. And he would go around and plant trees, or he came to Chicago one time and he mulched. But then we'd play on the back of a pickup truck and for a few minutes.
Well, he had said, I remember asking him why he chose to do something like that, and he said that he wanted to give something back and not just have the standard at that point, meet and greet at a small little place for fanfare or CMA Fest, whatever you want to call it. So he thought it'd be a good idea to plant trees. It'd be something different. We could plant trees together. The trees would be there hopefully for years to come, and he would just play on the bed of his pickup truck afterwards some songs. And when you were there, you know how incredible it was. It was pretty amazing, and there was a lot of people that were there, but probably more people later would have wished they had been there because they didn't know the importance of going to see Eric Church at the time.
Oh yeah, and I think a lot of people that was there probably really didn't know what they were seeing. We really didn't know. I was following them for about a year at this point. But I mean, it was pretty cool just to go, and I think we all had partners at the trees. It was pretty cool because my partner was Hyde and Driver. So
yeah, you had a good team. You had a good team.
Oh yeah, I was looking through pictures earlier. Oh, I can find one and pull it up. It's pretty cool. I got all my photos just categorized like in show numbers.
That's a lot of files for you.
Yeah. It stops at like 105, so I got a lot of catching up to do. So when did we say that was? July?
No, it was June 8th, 2007. I have to look at my notes. I'm not remembering it.
I'm the same way. My notes are golden. There we go. That was the picture I found earlier. Here, you want to see a throwback? You'll laugh at this one.
Aaron,
that was the
you were a little bit tinier then.
That was my partner, who was Driver and Hyde, a young Driver and Hyde. So Jillian and I just hanging out there. So
Miss Jillian, yes, beautiful Miss Jillian.
She's actually, I was talking earlier about I was going to book 50 shows, and she's going to be my 50th guest on this show. So
nice. Very nice.
An hour of her and I. So it's going to be an hour of, a lot of fun. According to our last one. So so the tree choir was fun. We really didn't do many shows after the tree choir, I don't think. What was the next show that we did together? I just saw this one. Sorry, I forgot to share this picture. You want to tell everybody about that one real quick?
Yeah, that was the same year at CMA Fest. Chevy was sponsoring Eric. He was in the Chevy calendar, and then they were giving out these lanyards of Eric. And if you visited the Chevy display, well, at the end of the CMA Fest, I went up to the display and I asked if there was any chance that I could get a bunch of the lanyards to give to church choir. And of course, I had to explain what that was. And he said, well, how many are you looking for? And at the time, I said, about 100, because we only had probably about 70, 75 tops. And he said, take whatever you want. So after I got home, I posted on the old board and said, I've got these lanyards, and if you weren't at CMA Fest and you want one, or if you want another one, shoot me a line and I'll mail you a copy. So each week I'd either mail from Canada or I'd make a trip over 2 hours to Michigan and mail a whole bunch out. So I think I mailed out, I think the total was about 45 or 50 of them. But I would bet you almost every single one of those people that got one is still an Eric Church fan and is still active on one board or the other or on Facebook pages.
I was trying to see if mine was in the frame behind me, but it's not. I think mine's put away. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see a lot of the old school, like people still sticking around and together, and that you have stories like this with this little Chevy. It was this little thin piece of paper, but you're shipping stuff from Canada all over just for
Yeah, it was cool
for
because
the word.
that's how I actually got to know Carla and Chris and Patty, Shawnee, and Lori. We all made a bond over something like this. That's how it started.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Lori says, "What was that picture? That's her, Eric." She always comments like that.
She
That's
says,
her,
"Oh."
Eric. That's my Eric, is what Lori always says. Well, that's the Eric I remember. That's the Eric I know. That's before Chief. I mean, everybody knows him as Chief now, and I have. It's kind of funny because I really seldom ever call him Chief. I
Yeah, I don't
mean,
either.
it's just not something. It's always been EC to me. I mean, if I see him walk by, like if like side stage, I'll holler EC or something. It's always to me been EC,
And I
not
just call
ESG or
I usually just call him E.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can always tell like I guess the sections of when fans come, because like the Chief fans, came around Chief, and then like E or EC came before, and then around the Outsiders it came EFC, and
Oh,
then
that's
so
right. Yeah.
you can see the little different like sections it's always gone into, and it's kind of because someone made a shirt back in the day, like the different hairstyles. It was just like a hand drawn shirt. It was a bootleg shirt, but it was kind of funny of all the hairstyles of Eric.
Yeah, that was a cool shirt.
There's Lori. That's our Eric. That's what she used to say.
Oh. Hi guys.
Someone's asking if you have any of those cards left.
I'm not
Jennifer
sure.
Porter.
I might. Jennifer, I'll look around and see if I can find any more. But
That's
seriously,
a good one.
I sent
Yeah,
out a whole pile. But I'll look for you for sure.
there's not,
Jennifer Love Me Porter. Got it.
yeah, but there's not many of those still floating around. It was kind of like the EC money that we reprinted this year in Chicago. Like I didn't want to really, I mean, because you have the stuff from the old days. You don't really ever want to copy it or anything else, but you still want to bring it back. Eric loves nostalgia, and that's what I love about just the shows. And it was so cool in Chicago this year when we brought the money back. But I made sure I typed on there second pressing of the money just to have it out there, because I don't like Eric does his second or third pressings. I wanted a second pressing of the money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the minute he got it the first night, he looked at me and kind of flipped me off. But then the second night, he sang the song and he nailed it. So, it worked out.
No, that's
So he
fun.
always has those moments, those effing Schreiber moments, I call them. Let's see. Oh, there's Jamie. There's our Michigan lady. She used to go to all those old machine shops. Those are all the shows that I always remember Sweet Caroline from, the old machine shop shows. I was looking through some pictures. I don't know if I have any pictures from those days.
There
Like
is
you.
nothing quite like the machine shop, that's for sure. I used to say the machine shop was a metal bar, or is a metal bar, because I mean it's still there, obviously.
Yep.
And you'd go into the bathrooms, and the toilets and the sinks are black, so you don't know how dirty it really is. But it's a rocking place, and I used to say that the show was amazing, and the after party was just as good.
Oh my God! Here, hold on.
Oh, he's found something. Oh yeah, there we go.
Here's one I found. Let me take me off for a second.
I think that's one of the cigars that Chris might have sent to you to give to Eric. He was chewing on that thing. Oh, gross. And
Yeah, there you go. Frazie's talking about the money in Chicago when Eric yeah, you saw it, Frazie. You looked right over it. He was like, effing Schreiber with this dang money. No, so yeah, machine shop. So machine shop, you weren't allowed to really smoke in there, but you could always smoke cigars. They let you smoke cigars inside the machine shop. And I used to love it. And one of my favorite pictures, I'm not even gonna dig it up right now, but one of my favorite pictures is of Eric and I standing there smoking a big cigar.
Yes, I remember that.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah, Lori said she always wanted to go. It's probably one of the coolest places. Ashley McBride just played there. I'm sure whoever went to that show had one of the coolest shows ever. Like
it's a dangerous area.
Yeah.
You know, Flint
the
in
water.
general. What was that? That hotel of yours was half bombed out or something like it.
I found pictures of that. So hold on. Let's see. We were talking about this last week with Carla.
Yes.
And then I went and found, I don't know if I could pull them up that quick.
But while you're looking for that, I think I remember on this show here, um, I had been drinking, but I mean, I wasn't pissed drunk or anything. So the girl that I was with, we were joking with Eric saying, we're not sure who should drive home. And he's like, are you okay to drive? And I'm like, well, I'm not sure. We should probably do rock, paper, scissors to see who should drive. You know, whoever wins gets to be the passenger, and whoever loses has to drive. And he goes, I don't know if that's a good idea. So sure enough, the three of us started playing rock, paper, scissors, and I would say, okay, I'm going to throw it down. And he's like, Caroline, what does that mean? And I said, 1, 2, 3, everyone do it. And he said, I've never heard it called throw it down. So I don't know if that's a Canadian thing or what, but the three of us were playing rock, paper, scissors in the machine shop after a show to decide who was going to drive. I ended up driving. I hadn't really been drinking since halfway through the show. So we were just having fun with him and messing with him.
That is funny. Here's another one. This is the line back in the day.
Oh gosh, standing outside.
I don't know if I can make this. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying.
Somebody brought in a dog, and there was a picture of Eric and the entire band holding the dog.
Yep.
It was a little puppy. Yeah, I like that picture. That was fun.
I can't see who all's in that picture. There's a lot of us in that picture in the line. Mm-hmm. Here's the one I was talking about. Same shirt. So it is the same. I think it was the same night.
Yeah.
Yep, the shirt.
That was
one of my favorite pictures, though. Me wearing a Pantera shirt in the machine shop. Which I have shirts. Actually, one of the coolest stories I have about the machine shop, real quick, is the first time Eric played there. If a lot of you guys don't know, Driver used to promote crank amps with Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. So machine shop has these little like bar tables, but they all have pictures of like these famous musicians that have played the machine shop. So there was a Dimebag table, and we're all standing there one night with Eric, just chit chatting. It's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And Eric looks, and the owner of the machine shop standing right here, and Eric's right here. He goes, "How much for that table?" And owner's like, "I can't sell. He goes, "No, I need to buy that for my guitar player." "How much?" Eric's like, "I'll give you X amount of dollars for it right now." And the guy's like, "Pack it up, let's go." Just gone. So Eric actually bought this Dimebag Darrell really cool table for Driver that night. It was a pretty cool little story. And I had a picture somewhere of this table. Cool. I wish I could find it. I mean, it'd probably take way too long to.
Well, I kind of think that that was the first place that I was ever roofied as well. And the only place I've ever been roofied. But that was at the end of the night. I think they were really doing their best to get everybody out.
Oh, and don't eat their cherries there.
Yeah.
Those cherries are wild.
Maybe that's what it was. It was a Coke, and it did have some cherries in it.
Oh, they have the bourbon cherries there.
That might have been it, but oh boy, did I get sick on the way home. I don't know if it was that night though that I was driving. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't have any. I can't find the picture of the Dimebag table. But yeah, so if you ever get a chance, if one of your favorite artists is ever passing through Flint, Michigan, go to the machine shop. Don't stay in Flint. Don't drink the water in Flint. Don't go to the strip clubs in Flint. But go to the machine shop. This is the hotel that Carla was talking about last week that we stayed at.
Gosh, it was terrible. So,
yeah, that was the hotel we stayed at in Flint. Well, that was half of the hotel. The other half, we were in for about an hour. And Carla kicked me out. She goes, "Nope, you're gone."
You didn't stay there. But you
No. We were there probably like an hour or two until we found another hotel, and then she kicked me out and we moved. And then
Flint, I would usually, if I didn't drive from my home, because it was just over 2.5 hours, that wasn't too bad, but I had to cross the border, so I couldn't be drinking at all.
Yeah. We used to do that back in the day. I used to be a big Kid Rock fan, and you had to be 18 to drink or anything in Canada. So after we all turned 18, we would go stay in Windsor overnight, and we would go and cross the border, see Kid Rock, and then go back and party all night in Windsor. Go to the casino, hang out.
They have strip bars there too now.
Crazy. Yep. Looks like I did pick that hotel. Carla, she's like, "No, we did not stay." No, we were not there long, so not there at all. Oh, there's Rachel's talking about the cherries. She had the cherries too. Sorry, I'm trying to read some quick
They had
comments
good
here.
tequila. I remember having the tequila. That was pretty good.
Oh yeah. You and I have some tequila stories. We're not going to share those, but we have some tequila stories.
His sombrero was involved. That's enough.
Man, that sombrero picture. I was actually looking for it. I know where it is. I wasn't looking that hard for it. So I'm looking at the pictures you sent over real quick.
And I think we had stuff plastered to our head or something. Money. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that. That was embarrassing.
Well, that might be coming up a little later. You never know. No.
You got to make this one full screen.
All right. Let's take you and I off for a second. And I want you to tell. All right.
Oh, you
I want
can't
you to
read
talk
the
about.
same.
Oh, I can read it. I want you to talk about this for a minute.
Okay,
Tell us what's
so
going on here.
Eric used to play a bar in Shelby Township outside of Detroit area, Sterling Heights, and it was called Coyote Joe's. So it was just Eric that would play acoustic. He didn't never had the band with him. So he was playing one time. Gosh, I think it was like the end of November in 2007, and I took a Santa Claus hat with me, and I had this sign that said "I love my choir," and I made the H-O in choir, ho ho ho. And I said afterwards when we were hanging out, can I get a picture of you wearing this Santa hat and holding the sign? And he just started laughing. He goes, why am I doing this? And I said, because I'm making Christmas cards for the Christmas exchange card. And this is what I want on my card is you. And he's like, all right. So being a, good sport, he did it. And of course there were other pictures that I didn't post that were a little bit amusing. And then Todd, his road manager at the time, got involved and he started wearing the hat. So it was a fun night. He just he couldn't understand why he was wearing a Santa hat, but I thought he did a good job. So I put it on my Christmas card, and then I also made magnets and sent them out to people in the choir as well. He did play the. There was another time he played there, and it might have even been this time. I'm not sure. He held up. Eric used to write a blog on the fan page, so he would write every once in a while.
It happened
Things.
like a month.
Yeah. So this one time he wrote the whole blog about where they've been traveling and everything, and then at the very end he said, "Hey choir, I've got a secret." And that's how he ended it. And we're all like, well, what's the secret? And he wouldn't say. So I'm at this show, and I kind of think it was the same one because it was right around Christmas. And I had a sign, I'm famous for these signs, and it said, "Hey, Eric, what's the secret?" So when he was playing on stage, I know the radio station got pictures of me holding it up, and he's like shaking his head like, I'm not saying anything. So when I met him afterwards, he said, you had that sign and you were making me laugh. And so I said to him, and gosh, the look on his face was crazy. I said, is it two pink lines? And he's like, God, no, no, no. And so then I grabbed his ring finger of his left hand and I just started going, you got something to tell us? And he looked at me and goes, how do you know? And I swear it was purely a guess, but he was hinting because him and Catherine got married a few weeks later. So he was hinting to the choir that something was going to be happening. And that was
I
cool.
actually, it's a cool that you share that story because, oh God, can I find this picture? What year did he get married in?
Oh boy, I think it was 2008.
No, it's the start of
January
yeah, it was
8th.
January. Because I got the very first picture of Eric ever showing off his wedding ring.
Wow.
Hold on, where is it? I never ever shared it. I've always kept it kind of buried, but it's the funniest picture. I think it's framed on my wall. It's coming up. There it is. It's funny that you talk about that because this picture was taken in February of 2008, but
Yeah,
it was
so
one of the first times. I think it was the first show he played right after he got married.
I think
So
that when we're talking some of these stories, it might be hard for some of the newer fans to understand that in the beginning when Eric was starting out, he was very accessible and he was very good with meeting the fans, after the show, whether he was signing or at the merch table or just hanging out and having drinks or shots. He was very accessible, but that, as his fame grew and his fan base grew, of course, things aren't quite the same. So I think that makes us treasure these moments even more, because they're few and far between that you get to have any time with them like that now.
Oh yeah, I mean, now you're lucky if you get like under 20 seconds. I mean, if you get to go to a fan club party, that's always fun because you get a little bit extra time. But if you have a meet and greet with Eric, it's quick and in and out. Back in the day, like you said, we would sit there for an hour or two at the bar, a handful of us, just swapping stories and shots.
How many times were we at Joe's in Chicago when we were just sitting around in the VIP area? Or how many times was I at Joe's in Chicago and you kept texting me saying, "Where are you?" Find out you had a cake for your mom's birthday and Lynn's
And
birthday.
then, yep.
And Eric came out and
And
we
you
all
were,
had,
you were keeping Eric busy somehow because you wouldn't be quiet. I think you and Eric were upstairs talking. I knew you were with Eric, and I'm like, "Hey, we got a cake out here. Where are you? Hurry up!"
finally he said to me, "Is that Shriver again?" And I said, "I don't know what's so important, but we got to go outside." So we went outside, and that's when you had the cake, and that was cool because it was a picture cake of your mom with Eric and Lynn with Eric, and
Mhm.
that was pretty good. I mean, everyone by that point was feeling very little pain, but yeah, it's another fun place to go to for a show is Joe's in Chicago.
Yep. So you got to tell me a little story about this.
Oop, I lost you there. Ah, I know what you're saying. I don't know if anyone can hear me. Hello. Hello. I believe we're having technical difficulties.
No,
Hello?
you only yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I couldn't hear anything.
I'm sorry, guys. I kicked myself off with the photos.
So these photos
You're
look
only
like,
allowed to have 4 at a time, I guess, and they thought photos were more important than hearing or seeing me. So yeah, I got these photos from you, and some of the captions on these said "a trip for Dad" that you guys were on or whatever. Tell me what it is. What was the trip for Dad?
okay, so my dad passed away, but before he passed away, he said to me, he knew I had planned this trip for, it was a 4-show road trip to see Eric Church and the band. And he said, no matter what happens, you have to go, keep going on this trip. And I said, "Dad, I don't know if I can." And he said, "I really want you to go." So it was tough. It was 3 shows in Ohio, I think, and 1 in Kentucky. So they were all close together. So there was 4 of us that attended the shows, and I admit when he was singing "Those I've Loved Before," I teared up and started crying, and it was a rough show, but it was also therapeutic because I knew he was with people that cared for me a lot, and I was also being entertained by them, as you can see from some of these pictures. So as sad as it was also a really fun time. And when I got back home, I sent Eric a little note. And for those of you that used to use MySpace, he was really active privately on MySpace. So I sent him a note and I just told him how. Sorry, I was just reading lyrics.
Yeah, I wrote that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize. That was my fault. I like I said, I could have more than 4.
So after I got back home, I wrote him a note on MySpace and I just said, "Thanks so much. You helped me out there." When my dad passed away, I did the eulogy and I had created large picture frame collages that said, "Those I've loved along the way," and also played that song at his funeral. So when next day I got a message back from Eric, and it was the sweetest note of condolence about losing my father and how difficult it must have been to be at those shows. And I explained that really it was not that difficult. It really helped. And then the next question was, "When's the next show you're coming to?" A couple of weeks.
Yeah, so I saw those. I wanted to touch on that. That was an awesome story. I mean, to hear it. So I kind of remembered when that happened, and then when I saw those photos come through with that caption on there, I'm like, yeah, that's one thing we would like to bring up. So, but there's a lot of better shows. I want to talk about another one that I
Uh-oh.
found last week. We talked about a show with Carla. And then you send all these pictures over, and there's a picture from this Cut by
Oh,
Cut show. So somebody snuck her camera in.
no, no. This somebody was in the front row right beside you. Somebody knows how to search the internet and found a bunch of photos. So
All
I just
right.
thought I thought I would send you a few that I had gathered after it had happened. So
That's
you
cool. Yeah,
understand.
I was
That was
going
the
through the
cut by
one.
cut. And there is a little story behind that that was actually kind of amusing. That was the same time that Eric was there for CMA Fest. And on the Tuesday, he had a photo shoot. On the Wednesday, he played in Knoxville. So Carla and myself and another friend decided on a whim to drive to Knoxville. Then the next day, he was playing or appearing at the convention center and signing autographs. And then he did a late show on the Friday at the Fiddle and Steel, which was fun.
Oh,
So
yeah.
then I flew home on the 14th, which would have been the Saturday. So I flew from Nashville to Detroit and then drove home 2.5 hours. But I should backtrack on when he was playing the convention center, not playing, I'm sorry, he was signing autographs. He said, "You're going to be around next week on, I think it was the Monday, on Monday." And I said, "No, I fly home on Saturday." He goes, "No, you want to stick around." And I said, "Eric, I can't stick around. I've got a flight booked. I'm going back to Detroit and then going to Canada." He said, "You really want to be around on Monday?" So sure enough, I can't believe I did this. I flew all the way home, drove home from Detroit, got rid of my luggage, unpacked it, repacked, drove to my girlfriend's house in Sterling Heights. We drove all the way down to Nashville, which was about 11 hours. I think it was 9 hours from her place, 11 from mine, and got there in time for Cut by Cut. And some of my other girlfriends that were at the Cut by Cut said, "Didn't you just fly home?" Yes, I did. And I turned around and drove back.
That
But
is
that
awesome.
was, if you ask me what my favorite shows are, that one's definitely in the top 10. The whole moment was so different to hear how he, you know, the deconstruction of the songs and just hearing them for
Mhm.
the first time, a lot of them. I absolutely love that show.
See, I'm thinking Cut by Cut was the first time we heard a lot of Carolina, like off the album. But technically, for me, let me look. I don't think it was. Cut by Cut was a really good show. I'm trying to look back.
I think we
So he
probably heard
played a
some of
lot of
it.
Carolina. Was that?
No, I said I think we had heard some of it before.
Yeah, I was looking, he played his high school football field and played a lot of
Oh,
South
that's right.
Caldwell. Yeah, May of 2007 he played South Caldwell, and Cut by Cut was probably like a year after that, I think. But so we first heard some of Carolina's songs from the high school show. But so speaking of that photo shoot, we gotta share this real quick because that's like demonized right there. Look at this.
Well, if you can see that picture that's kind of in the corner by me, that's actually that photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
The story was I was in Tootsie's with Carla and Lori, and we were, it was Trent Tomlinson was having a surprise show. So we were watching Trent Tomlinson, and all of a sudden, um, my old flip phone said I had a message, and it was my girlfriend who I know through another artist who was out front and said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm at Tootsie's." And she said, "Well, come outside because Eric is here doing a photo shoot." Well, while we were at Tootsie's, of course, I got out my famous silver Sharpie and we had to make a mark on the wall. I don't even know if it's still there.
I wonder if it's
So
in there. That'd be cool.
the three of us run outside and there's Eric doing this photo shoot. And they asked us to be in it, but what we really were was just kind of the blur in the background of the crowd. So we would walk, I don't know, 20, 30 feet, turn around, walk back, and they would just keep taking pictures of Eric. And I know he looks really miserable in that picture, but that when the picture came out for the show, that was the Jonathan Singleton, when he was with Jonathan
Mhm.
Singleton.
I got a big blown up version of that photo in my
Yeah.
garage.
So that was the fun with the photo shoot, and Catherine was there, so we got to hang out with her and talk, and it was kind of a unique thing to do. It was pretty special.
So before we move on, guys, if you guys are just tuning in, we are live right now with Sweet Caroline from the church choir. She's one of the originals. She's been there since day one. She actually has the list, I think, of all of everybody's numbers, like the first 100 that ever signed up for the church choir, which is really cool to have. If you guys are just tuning in, if you guys could hit that share button, the like button, let's get some people on. Ask questions. If anybody has any questions for her, go ahead and ask them. We'll put them up. We're going to keep on going through some old pictures, some old stories. I got a couple other ones that I'm getting ready to queue up here in a minute. Around 8:50 or so. So probably like 15 minutes. We're going to do it really quick, like 60 round, like hot seat with her, like we did with Carlo last week. Carlo only got 4 answers in the 60 seconds. So let's see if Sweet Caroline could beat her. I got some fun ones planned for her.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know secrets, so do I. Just remember that. Carla said, you know secrets, so do I.
Yeah. We all church choir has a lot of secrets. So this was your first show you ever saw Eric at. What year?
He was playing, that was October 2006. He was actually playing in Nashville at the old fairgrounds. Each year, Dierks Bentley had a charity bike ride, and it was called Miles for Music. And Eric was he was one of the very first openers. He was on other people on it included Jeff Foxworthy, Montgomery Gentry, Shelley Fairchild, and of course Dierks Bentley. It was a different band then. There was only a couple people that were the same, and as you can see, he looked quite different. But there was a little story before that. I guess it would be a bit after it. I saw him there, and I knew that I really wanted to see more of him. And he was supposed to be playing in London and a couple places around me for the Dierks Bentley tour. That he was one of the openers for the Dierks Bentley tour, and I have a DJ friend, and I kept telling him how excited I was that Eric was finally going to be playing my city. So the day of the show, the DJ called me and said, "So Eric's not playing tonight." And I said, "Yeah, he's the first opener." And he's like, "No, he's sick. He's not playing." And of course, I thought he was just razzing me because he knew how much I was looking forward to seeing Eric. But it turned out it was true. So in his blog, Eric had wrote, he said that at that point it was the first show he'd ever missed in his career, and he apologized to London and said, "I owe you a show," which of course I reminded him every time I saw him. But he did play the next night in Hamilton, which was a couple hours away. And if you have a picture of that god awful hat that he used to wear.
Well, I have a picture and a story to follow up with your story. Let me go to my photos real quick and dig up a photo. So right before that, on the Dierks tour, Q and I, this is a really, man, what year was that? Did you say? Waterloo, January
2007. January 2007.
So Q and I, if you guys don't know who Q is, you guys will. I'm going to get him on the show. I promise you. And we were going to share some really cool stories. So this ain't the same hat that you're talking about, but it was the first time Q ever saw snow. He's a Tennessee boy. So right before he was supposed to play Sweet Caroline City, he decided he's going to play Iowa in the middle of a snowstorm. And somebody hung out outside for a little too long with him, and he canceled the next show because he was sick.
And that was my show. Yeah. So I can blame you. Now so I know the truth.
First show church ever had to ever canceled was he was sick, but he was hanging out with me the night before outside in like 10 degrees below in Iowa.
Yeah.
That was probably my fault that he.
Well, if you find that other picture, I think it's the ugliest hat I've ever seen in my life.
I don't know what hat.
It would compare to what Carla felt about the Dr. Pepper hat. And I think I sent it to you.
This is still one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. Sorry, I found this real quick from the same show. No, yeah, I want to find that one. This is one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken of Eric. I don't know if you've ever seen this one. Because you were talking about the Dierks tour.
Yeah.
They played, I think, Folsom Prison at the end of the night or something, or one of the songs at the end of the night together.
Yeah, that's nice.
Did you send me a picture of that hat?
Yeah, I did. It would have been called Hamilton.
Hold on. I'm trying to go through.
It would have been a B.
I got Hamilton, Ontario, but I don't think is that Eric?
That's the one.
Oh, it is Eric. It looked like Hyde from far back.
I know.
Wow.
So that is like a crocheted hat at the front. It was the ugliest thing, and I know I have backup because Megan, I think Lauren were both at that show too. So that was one ugly hat, and he was so proud of it. He was.
Yeah,
We call him the Canadian tuxedo. He's wearing jeans and a jean shirt. So there he is playing in
Rachel's a
Canada
that's
with.
secret.
Yeah. God, I hated that hat. Ugh. All right.
That is
What else are you gonna throw
funny.
up?
All right, we have a question. Let me go ahead and take this off real quick. I'm going to share this photo while we have a question. While I show the question, and we'll talk about this photo in a second. Melanie, she wants to know what your most prized possession from all these years of being a fan has been.
Mm. Well, I think the prized possession that I had, I gave it back. Um, it was at Joe's in Chicago, and Eric had gone. It was after the show, and Eric had gone up to the bar, and then we were getting ready to leave, and his sunglasses that he had just started wearing were left on the table. So I had those, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Did I leave sunglasses somewhere?" And I'm like, "Yep." And I mean, I'm not saying they were mine, but I was pretty sure they were his. But I don't know what my most prized possession is. I'm a photo person, so I take photos all the time. Um, Good question, but I can't say that I
Yeah,
have as many. I have no treasures or treats like Aaron does, and
I gave sunglasses back too. That's kind
yeah,
of funny to say that. It was
yeah,
tree
he had a
choir.
habit of leaving them around.
He
But
took his
thank
Ray Bans
you for
off.
asking.
Yeah, during the tree choir, he took his Ray Bans off and put them on the truck bed while he was singing. And then Mark grabbed them and they walked to the truck to take them away. And I looked at the tailgate and there was sunglasses. And I looked at Jillian. I'm like, this is kind of like spur of the moment. Do you keep these? Because this is
Yeah,
church
it just
Ray
kind of it's
Ban.
fleeting. Yes, that's true.
Or you chase him down real quick. I'm like, dude, you left your sunglasses. And I grabbed them and ran and handed them back to him. And he was grateful that I gave them to him because that's back before he probably had like 100 pairs. He probably was still buying his own Ray Bans back then.
I think that's
But
like the good angel and the bad and the devil, the angel and the devil, and you have to decide. But
he had
I
his,
like
he
this
had
picture you have up now.
Yeah,
Those
so
are
this is 2009, our church choir calendar that you did. And go ahead and talk about this for a second.
first of all, I love these cover photos, and they were taken by Chris Kortzik, who is in Colorado. Um, Basically, I decided that I wanted, similar to what Keith Urban does, if anyone's familiar with that, have fan submitted photos and just do a calendar with all the proceeds going to the Diabetes Association because of Eric's mother having diabetes. And I got the okay from people at headquarters, and they were all going for it. And I said, do you want a copy of it before I send it out for people that want to buy it? Nope, it's all good. So everyone who sent in a picture, the way I ended up working it out was that every single person who sent in a picture got included somewhere in the calendar. Overall, I think we probably, I don't know, maybe sold about 70 of them and donated just over $300 to the charity. It was a fun project, but boy, it was a lot of work.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool photos in there. I wish I had more of the photos. I was going to try to load up some photos from the calendar, but it was cool because you had everybody that was actually in the choir. You almost covered, I think, everybody that submitted a photo. You were able to put into the book or in the calendar. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Sorry, I'm still going through some old photos.
Yeah.
You're back in the day. You used to call it what? It was the Caroline sandwich.
That's right. That's Country Caroline and Sweet Caroline together, and that was at Coyote Joe's.
I
Um,
I have one
guys
of these
used to call
too.
it, yeah, Caroline
You know,
sandwich.
you know that? I have one of these too. Where's it at?
Somebody asked me if there were stories that I had that. Oh goodness, you got a Caroline sandwich too. Somebody asked me today if I had stories that I wouldn't share, and yes, I do. The stories that I choose to share are usually ones that would embarrass me, but never embarrass Eric. Um, I wish there were more stories that I could share in the earlier days, but I mean, you have some degree of privacy or expectation that you're not going to share some things. But here goes. I'm going to tell you this story.
Oh, hold on one second. You
Oh, maybe I don't have to then, right? Yay. I got to watch the time here. We have to talk about having that dinner. Okay. Am I like Where's Waldo again, or Wayne's World? Wayne's World. Sweet Caroline. Bum, bum, bum. Well, we don't have to talk about that story now. So if everyone can hear me, I can continue to talk about Baton Rouge. That's a story that I want to share.
Okay, I'm back.
Hi,
Are you
back.
still talking?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna talk about celebrating my birthday in Baton Rouge.
So we stayed live the whole time I was gone. That was the weirdest thing. My whole computer, like, yeah, I'm
Well,
sorry, Amy. I don't know what. That was the weirdest thing. I went over here trying to freak out and Wayne's
so
World.
I was
Wayne's World.
singing. Yeah, Wayne's
Man.
World, Wayne's World.
All right, we're gonna figure out all these glitches. We're gonna get worked out. I promise.
Okay,
So,
I have to get through two more stories that are really important,
all right,
and then you're gonna blast me. Okay,
go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the fun I had on my birthday. I can't remember what number it was. I took my mom to a concert here in town, and it was to see her favorite, Alan Jackson. So we were second row. When it ended, I got right on the bus to Detroit, took a plane, ended up in Baton Rouge, meeting up with a bunch of the fun people there, celebrating my birthday. Okay, it was my 47th. Okay. Anyway, I drank a lot because it was my birthday. I drank a lot. I also had no sleep in almost, well, I think it ended up being almost 48 hours that I hadn't had any sleep. So after the show, we've got pictures of Eric. Um, I took a Detroit Red Wings hat and I had to get pictures of him wearing that just so I could bug my friend Chris. And then
Damn hat.
got a little silly, I guess. At the time, I was wearing my favorite boots, which I don't wear anymore, but they were very red, shiny boots. There you go. And with little, heels. So we were sitting, we as in a whole bunch of us fans, so probably, well, not really a whole bunch, but probably about 6 or 8 of us, with Eric on a set of stairs that were outside, and we were just hanging around. And I remember, I'm pretty sure it was Kate, but I'm not certain, said, I was sitting beside Eric. She said, Caroline, you're wearing hooker boots. And I looked and I said, these aren't hooker boots. These are come fuck me boots.
Oh,
Well,
man.
Eric looked at me and he was right beside me and he started laughing. He goes, Caroline, what's the difference? And I said, money. One of them, you get paid. I just remember that it was the funniest thing at the time. And I mean, I'm sure I was forgiven because of alcohol and birthday, whatever, but just hanging out afterwards, having fun. And I know I just swore there, but that's okay, right?
Hey, it's Facebook. We'll see what they say.
And then I have one more story I wanted to talk about before we're gone, and that's the dinner.
Oh yeah, I got that. I got that one for sure. We're definitely gonna.
Because I think we're getting close to time.
Yeah, we got about 12 more minutes. We had a few technical difficulties, so if we run a few minutes over tonight, I'm all right with it. I mean, I know.
Okay.
So, let's see, I'm going through all my photos too. So we're gonna get the hooker boots out of there.
Come fuck me, boots.
Yeah, all right. So, where was this picture? I think this is pictures around the same time. Let's see. I like that one. Yeah, it has Tar Heel hat on.
I don't remember where that one was from. Gosh.
Rachel's laughing at your story. She says, "Stop."
Oh yeah, it was bad.
Where's Ava? Ava, you gotta come on. We gotta have Ava on here sometime. I'm sure she has some cool stories to share too.
Okay, I can give you one other quick one if you like. You'll laugh.
Let me ask you one real quick. What turned you on to Eric? What made you a fan of his?
MySpace, but before that, I used to read trade magazines and radio related correspondence and magazines and things like that. And I had seen his name mentioned a few times. So part of the reason I joined MySpace, practically the whole reason, was to listen to new music, because each band that was on there would post 3 or 4 songs. So I found Eric Church on MySpace and started playing his song. And I swear my mother got so sick of hearing How About You, because every time I'd go over to her house, I'd just play it constantly. And that's how it started. And then I knew that when he came out with his music, there was no way that I wasn't going to be, almost first in line to get it, at least here. So it was just finding his music, and there was something that just touched immediately. And I knew this guy, he's going to be good. Well, he was good, but I mean, other people are going to realize that he's really good. And
Trying to
that's
find a photo to lead into our next story. No, that's awesome, because honestly, it's kind of funny. We all found Eric in a different way or a different setting, but we all had the same feeling when we first saw him. Like, okay, there's something to this guy. Like, what's going on? Why does he feel different to us? Oh, I just totally found the cake picture that you were talking about with my mom and Lynn at Joe's. Just going through some photos. Let me see if I can.
There's another club that Eric used to play quite a bit just outside Buffalo called Club Paradise. And it's just down the road from where the Bills play. And it was the lowest club as far as the ceiling. You could pretty well touch it.
That was
But
like the Whiskey Dicks or somewhere in Columbus. Was that what you're
like,
talking about, or
no,
by
no,
Buffalo?
this is called Club Paradise, and it's in
Okay.
Buffalo. And in at the time,
There's
that's
that
the cake.
cake.
That was cool. He when he would sing "How About You," and he'd get to the line about "To tell the truth, I think we're the chosen few. That's just me. How about you?" There is a motorcycle club in that area called the Chosen Few. So the members of the motorcycle club, as soon as he started singing "How About You," would get on stage with him. And I think the first time he was a little taken back, but then realized, okay, there's a reason they're up here. So he would play that song, and they'd be up there singing it and belting it out at the same time. And an interesting thing about this club was attached to it was the hotel. So you'd stay in this somewhat divey hotel, but the bar was right there. I was really sick the one time, like with a cold and head cold, and I went back to the room with a couple of the other people. There was, I think, 5 or 6 of us staying in the room. And I said, I got to go to bed. Like, I am sick. So I went to put on my red and yellow bright fleece Tweety Bird pajamas. And I just about I was going to get them, and there was a knock at the door. And the one guy who was sleeping on the floor in our room went to get the door. And I heard him say, "Oh, hey, Eric." And I thought, yeah, that's not Eric. So I look over because he couldn't see the door from where I was. And there's Eric. And he says,
Mhm.
"You guys seen my band?"
Yeah.
I mean, there was 3 of us in the room. We're kind of looking like, no. He says, "Oh, I don't know where they are." So the other girl, she says, "Oh, can we take pictures with you?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, if it had been 2 minutes later, I'd have been opening the door with Tweety Bird pajamas on to say hello to Eric. That would have been so embarrassing. But I do have one of my favorite pictures is from that time, when he had the picture taken in the room. And I
Okay.
had to crop it a bit at the beginning because, oh, those are them. That's a different
No,
show.
I don't know if I have that picture.
Freedom Hill. E. So that
Yeah,
was
I don't.
actually, yeah, I remember that's when he was playing with Sarah Evans.
Yeah, I don't have
Wow.
that one loaded up anymore.
Yeah.
I'll
So
probably
anyway,
move
that was
on.
favorite ones. It was a pretty funny story.
So yeah, we're throwing these up. This was a fun day. This was my birthday in, like, was it Freedom Hill, Michigan, or somewhere like that?
That's right. It's in
Yeah.
Sterling. Yeah.
Sterling Heights. Yeah, that was a fun night. So we are live with Sweet Caroline. We are probably going to run a few minutes over because we have one big story that we still want to talk about. And we still have a little fun game we're going to play with her. Do you want to play the game? Hold on. Sorry, I just found another picture I want to talk about real quick before we go into wrapping all this up. We need to talk about this photo for a second. Let me go off so we can make this a little bigger. Do you know what this photo is?
Wow.
Carla's cussing me out right now, I think.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Okay, I see.
Oh, Eric played 3 nights at the Rutledge, I
That's
think
at
in
the Rutledge.
'09. And we one night ended up somehow with Tucker Beathard's dad, Casey Beathard, in
Oh, and there's
some dive bar.
Kenneth Wright. Kenneth Wright.
In some dive bar in Nashville. I don't even know what bar it
Oh,
was. So that's Casey Beathard in the back, and there's you
that's
and Lynn and Becky and
Kyle.
Carla, Kyle. Yeah, the whole gang right there. This
That
was so
was a
much.
fun night. I don't even, well, it's no
It
surprise
was,
I don't know that that picture was taken.
it
That
was
was
yeah.
fun.
Look at me in this picture. Yeah,
I
there's
still talk with
reasons why this picture was
her.
never shared.
That's fun. That was fun.
So, all right, guys. So yeah, we're gonna be wrapping up in a few minutes with Sweet Caroline. Let me make sure there's no other stories or pictures.
Dinner.
Oh yeah, no. We're gonna get there.
Okay.
That one worked out. So, do you want to share your last story now, or do you want to play this little game real quick?
The
What would you rather
last
do?
story and then dinner, or
And then
or the last story.
end on the game.
Okay.
Let's do the
Am I
last story.
am I talking about dinner or am I talking about
So we're gonna talk about this for a second. So back in what was it 2008?
Oh, yes.
Carla says she didn't know there was pictures. Carla, I did not know there was pictures until I started digging and then found that one picture. So,
Mm.
all right, back in, I don't know, was it 2008? Let me take Caroline and I both off camera for a minute so you can see this as close as you can. So this is a thing called a points leaderboard. It was on Eric Church's old page. And there's a little contest. So you probably have seen over the years photos maybe of Carla, Sweet Caroline, myself, and it looks like we're out to dinner with Eric Church. So what was really cool is Eric had right before Carolina started, Eric had this contest, and it had different tiers, different ways you could win the contest, and they would keep track of points. So if you look, yeah, I mean it's kind of hard now. You see Nashville Dreamer. That was I think it was Melanie, Julie, Shriver. That was S Blades, Sweet Caroline. I'm trying to see all the names on there. I'm sorry, it's a little small. It's a little blurry. Sean, Wild Irish Rose, Northern Belle, Tiff and RJ. I mean, all the old board names are right there. So this is the tracker of the leaderboard, and I think it was the top 3 or the top 4 won dinner.
I think it was 4.
And I think I ended up coming in first or second. Nicole won. Was it Carla? Who won out of you guys?
Carla and Sean.
Okay. It was Carla and Sean that came up and won. Well, Carla's not even on here. Why is she even on the? She must have been like a sleeper at the end. At the end, it was like took over. Look at her name's not even on the leaderboard. You're like last place on it. So we got very fortunate to actually have dinner. I was able to go with my mom and dad to Texas Roadhouse in Fort Wayne, Indiana, to have dinner with Eric. Carla, though, saved hers for a really, not Carla, Caroline saved hers for a really special day. And go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
Well, the 4 of us were in Texas doing, I guess it was 2 shows, one in Fort Worth and one in Houston. And we were at the hotel room. At some point, Sean told us, which is the pretty blonde with the red, that she was was hoping that we could have gotten to have dinner with Eric and claimed their prizes when we were all together in Texas, but she hadn't heard back. We were in the hotel room. Gosh, I hope I get this story right, girls. I know you're listening. Um, and the phone rang, and she said, "Oh, it's Nashville calling." So she picked up the phone, and it turned out it was someone from Eric's team saying, "We see that you're in town. Do you want to have dinner with Eric tonight?" Of course we did. So everything at that point kind of switched around. We were, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to wear? Look at my hair. Are you going to help me with my makeup?" And anyway, we got to the restaurant quite early because we wanted to kind of have some pre-drinking to get the nerves gone. So we were drinking top shelf, and Eric arrives with Marshall and um, Todd, I guess. Yeah, it was Todd. So Eric sat down at the table, and we were having dinner. And I mean, it was great. It was so much fun. It was relaxed. And um, as we were having dinner, there were people that would come over and get his autograph because he was actually playing across the street at the Billy Bob's.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at one point, Eric kind of said, after we had pretty well finished eating, "Where's that waitress?" And I found out later that Chris, the dark haired girl in the back of the picture, every time the waitress would come over, she'd go, "Go away, go away, go away, go away, go away," because she wanted to make sure that we had more time with Eric. So it was an absolute blast. And Eric insisted on paying for the food and our bar bill. And he did say at one point, "Boy, you girls sure drank a lot." We never expected him, we never ever expected him to pay for our bar bill.
That's crazy. Like my story, I'll share it later on down the road when we have more time. But like we didn't even have any alcohol at ours. It was kind of like a family dinner. It was
We drank a lot during dinner and before dinner, and then after, when I came home, I sent Country Weekly at the time an email asking if they wanted to print our story, and they did. So that was fun.
Mhm.
And the other thing that we did was during the dinner, we had Eric call the fifth girl in our group, Patty, and it was kind of funny because he's, you know, as I recall, he says, "Hi, Patty, it's Eric," and she's like, "Hi." She had no idea that we were having dinner. She says, "You guys never told me." We said, "We didn't know. Like, we were literally
Mhm.
at the hotel a few hours before we were going to go to the club." And then after we had dinner, we part of the prize was that you also got meet and greet. So Eric
Yep.
says, we gotta finish this up so that we can run across the street and meet each other. So that's what we did. We finished up and went to the meet and greet, and he said, "Long time no see." And they also gave you more tickets for the show. So we were sitting with the family area. It was a great time, but I'll tell you, I said those girls,
Yeah.
Carla and Sean, were so generous to share their prizes with me and Chris. We'll never forget that. It was a special moment.
It was honestly still to this day I think about just thinking of it. Like Texas Roadhouse still to this day is like my favorite restaurant, and it's all like I interviewed for a job at Texas Roadhouse, and I told the story of having dinner there in Indiana at Texas Roadhouse. So it's something really cool because like no one knew who he was when we were there. Like you said, people were coming up and asking for autographs. I think the only person that asked for anything was like a general manager that was at the restaurant because they set it up with the general manager. So the general manager came over and got to the table and asked for a picture real quick. But other than that, no one really ever bothered him. And I got a sign that says behind my bar, it says alcohol because no great story ever started with a salad. And if I can find, I'm not going to dig it up, but the photo of my parents and I with Eric at the table at Texas Roadhouse, there's no alcohol on the table and everybody has a salad. So it's really funny with that. So it's just really funny stories that came out of that dinner from back in the day. So let's see if I have any other photos. I think all the other photos I have, I'm going to save for our fun logo. I only have a couple of photos for our fun game. So once again, everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. This is Sweet Caroline. We are running over a couple minutes. We have a quick game, 60-second game we're going to run. After that, we're going to say goodbye to her, and I'm going to wrap things up. We're running over, like I said, because we had a few technical difficulties. Let's see what's Patty saying. It was a church bell. Church bells. Yeah, we'll have to get on that one day. Church bells back in the day. We had fun with those. Yeah, Patty said she thought it was a bell. That's funny. So let's see. I don't even know if any of this is ever going to work. Oh, do you hear that? It's actually working. So this is what we call the hot seat. So we're going to ask you 10 questions. You're going to have 60 seconds. There it is. 60 seconds to answer these. So a couple of people helped me out with them today. We're going to have fun. So we're going to have fun. I'm going to try to share some photos too while we do this. So let me pull these photos up really quick. Well, you're not going to see them. I'm going to see them. You're not going to see them.
Uh-oh.
You'll see them when I ask you the questions. We start your 60 seconds. So like I said last week, we did this with Carlo. We're still going to ask you all 10 questions. There's some of them are fun. Some of them are actual real questions I want you to answer like real. Some of them you're probably going to chuckle and just give me a one-word answer. I tried getting an FU out of Carlo last week. I didn't think I got that. I don't think I'll get it out of you this week. But I don't know. We might. So, all right. We're going to start this. I got all the photos I think I need uploaded. So we're gonna have a little music playing behind us. It's 60 seconds. We're gonna actually questions and see how long it goes. All right, here we go. Your favorite Eric Church opener?
Jonathan Singleton.
Yeah. Favorite choir travel buddy?
Favorite choir what, sorry?
Travel buddy.
Ooh, Lynn.
Is tequila better in a shoe or a shot glass?
It's better over ice.
If you're on an island, you can only take one church album with you. Which one are you taking?
Probably Carolina.
All right. What's worth more, a loony or a toonie?
Well, you can get 2 loonies for a toonie.
Oh, all right. So, would you rather? There's our photo. Canadian or American smoke?
Oh, where did that come from?
These are not illegal smokes. I'll tell you that. They are legit Canadian. Well, we're out of time. I'm sorry. Well, how many? Well, you got 1, 2, 3, 4,
Okay.
5. You got 5. You can beat Carla. You got one more than her.
Well, I
But
can only see part of
gonna,
that picture. I don't
I know
even.
we're
Is
gonna
that?
ask the rest of them.
Oh
It's the
boy.
same photo. That's the same photo.
Oh, that's at Lynn's house. I remember that now. Oh boy.
It was my
Okay.
birthday.
Yes, it was your birthday.
I stopped at a duty free shop or whatever and got these little cigars. So, like I
See,
said, they are legal. They are legal.
yes. Okay, I remember those now.
So yeah, the question was American or Canadian smoke. We went with Canadian in that picture. Is there a? Oh no, we're gonna save that one. What did EC have for dinner?
I have no clue. I cannot remember.
Yeah,
I don't
I
even
don't
know
know
what
if it
I
was
had.
that big.
I can't remember. But you know what? I think I kept a copy of the menu, so maybe I could figure it out. I can't remember. Maybe the other girls remember, but I don't.
All right, I asked this one for Carla last week. If Eric was gonna cover any song that he's never covered before, what song would you want him to cover?
Oh, boy, I don't know. I mean, I kind of like it when he sings "Sweet Caroline."
I'll tell
I've
you
heard
one that
that
I
a
think
bit.
you love that I always wanted him to sing. Well, it doesn't really matter. I want to hear a Gary Allen song. I want Eric to cover a Gary Allen song, like "Smoke Rings in the Dark" or "Right Where I Need to Be." I think Church would nail a Gary Allen song. I know you
Well,
love Gary Allen.
I am definitely a big Gary Allen fan, so yeah, I think so. And they used some of the same songwriters, so I can understand, them liking
But
it.
I could see Church doing a Gary Allen tune. I can always see it.
That's a good idea.
Just
Yeah.
any, but do Gary. So, what Church lyric is your go-to lyric?
They even make a pill to make a soft package hard. I'm sorry. The first time I heard
Oh
that,
boy.
I could not stop laughing. I thought, yep, that's hilarious. Other than that, I would say it's got to be the lines in where she told me to go because he goes through the entire song and never once says where she told him to go, but you know without a doubt where he was told to go.
So the last question I have, and we're gonna end it on this question: is there is there any truth to there being? And I don't have it, so you don't have to really freak out about it. Is there any truth to there being a church choir dance video for his kind of money?
Yes,
I do have
absolutely.
stills.
I did
I
not
never
take
said I had the video, but I have stills from it.
I did not take the video.
I
I
have the video.
was
I
there.
watched it. I watched
I
the
was
video.
there. I admit we were there. Oh my goodness.
Yes,
And I
I
do
have
have,
photos, but
I think I have pictures of the fake money all stuck on our foreheads.
we have
Yeah,
that.
we might have been drinking, and it might have
So one
been.
night it was my birthday. We were in Michigan. We were all hanging out.
And
It
you
was
got a pair of Eric's boots for your birthday
yep, and a drum head, which is
and a
they're
drum head. Yeah, yeah, that was a fun
right back
night
here.
too. Oh
So they're sitting
goodness.
right over my shoulder. But yeah, it was we had a good night, and it was me and 4 ladies hanging out. So I could not argue. I was having a great time. So and we actually made a very tequila heavy video of
Oh
his
boy.
kind of money. So that was the night the sombrero picture came out. I
Wait
think.
a minute. It was you and 5 ladies then, because
Yeah, well, yeah, Lynn had her friend for a little bit over there.
yeah.
This is what we used to do. Like, I mean, we used to have fun. That's all it was. I mean, we just would hang out, have a few drinks, and oh, there you go, Jennifer. It ain't the whiskey, Gary Allen.
Oh yeah. Good
That
too.
would be solid for church. I like that. That would be. I like that. What was the other one that he? Well, it's not really a Gary Allen. Don't tell Mama. That was a cool one. I could see church doing that one.
Mm.
So, Carla, I figured she'd have some kind of comment on these pictures, but. But Caroline, thank you so much for hanging out tonight.
Thank you.
I hate that this is over. Like we ran 10 minutes over just because we had some technical difficulties, but this was so much fun. And
It was fun. Thank you, Aaron.
you were nervous.
I was, and I mean, I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, I never said this. I never said this. So,
I have.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you. Anyone else who's booked and you have the nerves like I did, you can see Aaron makes you feel quite comfortable. Thank you,
No,
Aaron.
it's so much fun. Thank you for coming out. I mean, it's just share the stories and to show everybody like it's not any different now as it was back then. I mean, the choir, we welcome everybody. If you've seen no shows, 100 shows, whatever you've seen, we're all here because we want to support the one person that makes some damn good music. So, and that's what this whole podcast is going to be for, is just sharing these stories and showing that the choir is just a big family. It's an extension of family. So, I mean, people wonder why you go to so many Eric Church shows. I mean, you're ready to hit your 100th.
I know.
You're like, what, you away? So, I mean, yeah, Derek, he said, thanks for sharing the memories. It was a lot of fun. So I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Next week, I don't even know who we have next week. I think it might be Corey. I don't have it.
Yes, Corey.
Is it Corey next week? I cannot wait. We did have a change October 1st. Jeff Brown's not going to be able to make it. We're going to reschedule him for 2020. David Weber is stepping in for Jeff Brown on October 1st. So I cannot wait for Weber too. But like I said, I have 2019 completely booked. All the events are posted. Before I go, I'll ramble for a minute. Caroline, I'm going to let you go. It was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
I love you. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids.
Bye. All right, guys. Thank you again for hanging out with us tonight. Like I said, all the events for the entire year are posted for 2019. I am working on 2020 dates right now. I'm going to book a whole year, 50 episodes. I think I only have 20 left that I have not booked. If I have not reached out to you at all, contact me if you want to come on here, and we'll get you on. I have some dates pending of some really cool names. I can't release any of them yet until we get them booked. I will tell you one. Susan Knox is coming on from HQ for sure. We're going to try to get some more on. I'm going to keep going with this. We're going to do choir for a while. I'm going to see where we can go. Some songwriters, some band members. Hey, whatever. So I'm going to stop rambling. We ran over time tonight. I'm sorry about that, but thank you guys once again for tuning in. We cannot wait. Join me next week. Like I said, Corey's going to be on next week. Thank you so much. And yeah, let's find out if this will actually work for once. So yeah, guys, join me next week.
The Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver celebrates the music and fans of singer-songwriter Eric Church. Join Aaron again next week as he shares inside stories and life adventures with another amazing member of the church choir. And remember, everything you need to know about the world can be learned in the church choir. Thanks for joining in on the fun, and we'll catch you next time on the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Shriver.